Compared to the vastness of the world's oceans, a modern aircraft carrier is just a tiny speck, necessitating the use of advanced spy planes and satellites to monitor its location. In reality, each of America's 14 carriers delivers a powerful impact with the most impressive collection of offensive and defensive aerial weaponry ever deployed at sea. The United States Navy's Carrier Air Wing, featuring the F-14 Tomcat, plays a crucial role in this story. From the initial design sketches to the first operational systems and carrier landings, a modern aircraft carrier is arguably the most well-organized and efficient military system ever created. Aircraft make the carrier viable, but it's the pilots who bring it to life. Tailhook pilots believe they're the best, and who could argue with them? However, they're only as good as the support crew, the technicians who maintain the weapons systems, the mechanics who oversee the engines, the plane captains who ensure they're ready for flight, the handling officer who positions them on the deck, and the air boss who directs their movements. It's a unique community, dedicated people putting their skills on the line every day. The F-14 Tomcat, developed by Grumman Aerospace Corporation, is the result of a significant disagreement in 1964 involving the US Navy, then Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara, General Dynamics-Grumman, and the US Congress. This intense bickering stemmed from a well-intentioned decision by McNamara in 1962 to develop a multi-service tactical combat aircraft with a basic airframe common to both the Navy and the Air Force.
That is your bogey.
This led to the creation of the General Dynamics-Grumman F-111B, codenamed TFX, which was extraordinarily versatile but undoubtedly overburdened. McNamara argued that a fighter with high airframe commonality between the Air Force and the Navy would save taxpayers millions of dollars. However, as a technologically precedent-setting program of unparalleled proportions, the F-111 encountered several serious issues during its preliminary flight tests. Chief among these was a significant weight problem, almost entirely due to the basic specifications, which ultimately became the F-111's Achilles heel. It was perhaps the most single important factor leading to the airplane's premature demise. Not surprisingly, the Navy was not displeased with this decision. In fact, a year earlier, they had quietly begun reviewing an internal Grumman study advocating for a completely new all-Navy fighter aircraft. Almost as soon as Grumman was released from its obligations to the F-111B, the Navy issued a request for proposals for the VFX, the aircraft Grumman had already been developing. Grumman was well versed in building aircraft for the Navy, from the Cat fighters of World War II to the F-9F Panther in Korea, the Navy's first jet fighter to see combat. The F-10F Jaguar, a cat ahead of its time, was the first fighter with a variable sweep wing, a concept that proved valuable 25 years later. In between, Grumman designed and built the F-11 Tiger, a longtime favorite of the Navy's Blue Angels, and the Super Tiger, a Mach 2 version that set a world altitude record. With a strong pedigree and design already underway, it was no surprise when Grumman was awarded the VFX contract in January 1969. From that point, work progressed at a breakneck pace. Although 6 years had passed since the TFX program had been approved, the Navy was no closer to obtaining its new fighter. The timeline allowed only 2 years to get the VFX, now known as the F-14 Tomcat, into the air. The same basic engines, Pratt & Whitney TF-30 turbofans, were used. However, these power plants turned out to be the major technical problem for the Tomcat in service. Thousands of design configurations were narrowed down to 8 and then to just 1. In some respects, it wasn't significantly different from the abandoned F-111B. Confident in its abilities and certain that its design would be chosen, Grumman began preparing long lead time materials well before the VFX contract was awarded. The same Hughes AWG-9 radar fire control system was installed, and the design included 2 crew members seated one behind the other, unlike the side-by-side arrangement in the TFX. However, these similarities were only internal. Externally, the design was entirely different. As the VFX mock-up revealed, nothing quite like the Tomcat had ever been seen before. Instead of using a conventional fuselage that integrates crew stations, avionics, engines and fuel with attached flying surfaces and pylons for weapons, Grumman appeared to start with a giant aerodynamic lifting body. The outer sections of this body were pivoted for variable sweep. Beneath this structure, set far apart, were 2 long engine nacelles with intake ducts extending well forward. With no traditional fuselage, the radar gear and crew stations were housed in a nacelle added to the front of the lifting surface and seamlessly integrated. Although it appeared to be a patchwork of different elements, the entire design blended together remarkably smoothly, maximizing lifting potential while minimizing weight. Many details were modified, but the most noticeable change was in the vertical stabilizer. The Navy wasn't fond of the central fin arrangement, but due to carrier stowage constraints, they could not compensate by increasing the height of the main tail fin. Instead, twin dorsal stabilizers were adopted, giving them a cranked gull appearance when viewed from the front. The front nacelle was resized to improve cockpit visibility for the crew. With the contract secured, Grumman began preparing in earnest for the production of 6 prototype pre-production aircraft and 463 production aircraft. The first flight was scheduled to take place by January 1971, only 2 years away. The first F-14 prototype was rolled out at Calverton, New York, on the 14th of December 1970, and a week later it flew for the first time. Despite the urgency of the program, it was possible to tweak the design as the first few aircraft were being assembled. Most of these changes were cosmetic. As usual, Grumman had got it pretty well right the first time. However, the Tomcat's second flight on December the 30th ended in disaster when the hydraulics failed. The crew ejected safely, and the accident proved to be only a minor setback. By May 1971, the second Tomcat was airborne. However, by this time, political problems were beginning to loom. The VFX contract, negotiated between Grumman and the Navy, was a comprehensive procurement package, allowing for a 2 to 3% annual inflation index. All 469 aircraft were to be delivered within this agreement, divided into 8 batches over a decade or more. However, as is now well known, the index proved to be hopelessly inadequate, especially as inflation soared from around 1970 onwards, causing increasing anxieties. This situation was exacerbated by the reduction of the total number of Tomcats to be purchased to 313, significantly driving up the unit cost of each aircraft. Flight testing, involving approximately 20 aircraft, continued through 1971 and 1972. The first supersonic sortie was conducted on September 16, 1971, by the 12th aircraft, which had taken over the duties of the first prototype. The trials were rigorous and involved an unusually large number of aircraft to meet the deadline for delivering the Tomcat to operational squadrons. Navy preliminary evaluations commenced toward the end of 1971, subjecting the aircraft to simulated carrier approaches, maneuvering them around flight decks, lowering them down carrier lifts, navigating around hangars to assess their compatibility with the large ships that will become their home, and conducting shipboard catapult takeoffs and arrested landings. Testing of the complex weapons systems of the F-14 began the following year at Point Mugu, with particular focus on the AIM-54 Phoenix missile, the aircraft's major feature. The results were remarkable. Drones, modified to simulate various Soviet aircraft, were intercepted with exceptional success, achieving unheard-of ranges. In one spectacular trial, for example, a drone doing Mach 1.5 at 50,000 feet was on the receiving end of a Phoenix launched 120 miles away. In another test, a ripple salvo of AIM-54s, spread across about half a minute, successfully intercepted 4 targets at ranges varying between 30 and 50 miles. By June 1972, carrier trials aboard the USS Forrestal had been successfully completed, indicating that the aircraft was ready for operational deployment. Subsequently, in October 1973, VF-1 and VF-2 serving aboard the USS Enterprise began receiving their first aircraft from Replacement Training Squadron VF-124 at Naval Air Station Miramar near San Diego, California. VF-1 became the first operational squadron to qualify the F-14A for daytime carrier operations in March 1974. By the end of 1979, the Tomcat had been deployed operationally with a total of 14 squadrons. Additionally, it equipped 2 permanently shore-based training units, VF-101 at Oceana and VF-124 at Miramar, respectively supporting the Atlantic and Pacific fleets. The process of replacing the F-4 continued until well into the 1980s, ultimately resulting in an additional 8 frontline squadrons receiving the F-14A. This aircraft has also been issued to second-line echelons of the Naval Air Reserve Force, a process initiated during the autumn of 1984 when VF-301 at Miramar received its first Tomcat. What sets the F-14 apart from all other tactical aircraft flying today is the combination of a high-performance airframe and the multi-shot, multi-target AWG-9 Phoenix weapon control system, marking the most significant advancement in weapon system technology in a generation of fighter development. Virtually impervious to electronic countermeasures, the Phoenix missile is specifically engineered to eliminate multiple maneuvering high-speed targets from extremely long ranges to close in, making it the only air-to-air radar missile with a launch and leave mode. The Phoenix has proven its performance time and time again against a variety of targets in a variety of tactical situations, scoring an unprecedented 85% success rate. Unlike any other system, the F-14 can fire up to 6 Phoenix missiles at 6 different targets simultaneously, while also tracking up to 24 targets simultaneously. In contrast, other new fighters are limited to engaging one target at a time.
Once the pilot or the pilot has determined they're going to attack a target, they are stuck with that target. They can't see anything else.
He has to stay in search. He's back to a manual system, the same thing that the F-4 came out with 15 years ago.
This is the only system we've got going where you can attack a target and not have to devote your full attention to that target for the full time of flight of the missile, whatever you're firing. We can prepare ourselves to take on the rest of the threat. It's one-of-a-kind thing.
The F-14 has the long-range Phoenix missile, which gives us approximately twice the range of any other missile that we know in existence today.
However, regardless of sophistication, no weapon system can be effective unless there's sufficient time to deploy it, which requires early detection. The F-14 is equipped with a high-powered radar and an extremely fast digital computer, providing almost 3 times the detection volume of current fighters at 30 to 50% greater ranges. This extended range translates to more time to respond, offering up to 2 extra minutes for a Phoenix missile to intercept a Mach 2 threat. This difference could be crucial in determining the outcome of a mission. It also gives the pilot the ability to stand off and fire a Phoenix missile before being detected or before the enemy can fire, since he has to get a lot closer to fire.
Because we get to see him first, we're going to get a cut right there. We're going to get the edge right there.
Here we are standing off, having the standoff capability to fire and attack a target when we have come nowhere close to him being able to do that to us. Okay, what happens then? Your survivability goes up tremendously. You take one aircraft and he can do the job of 5, 6, 7, 8, a dozen aircraft.
Let's face it, if you can get a guy at 100 to 150 miles, that's where you want to get him. You don't want to wait till you have to get him in close.
The third version of the Phoenix missile, designated AIM-54C, offers greater reliability, enhanced resistance to electronic countermeasures, and improved overall performance to effectively address anticipated threats in the 1990s. Meanwhile, cruise missiles have advanced the art of low-altitude flying, presenting a new challenge to air defense systems. Launched from air, surface, and undersea platforms, these self-guided weapons pose a significant threat. Within the realm of modern technology, only long-range airborne radar can detect these low-flying threats in time to protect land targets and surface traffic. The F-14 is the only aircraft equipped to intercept such threats, illustrating its versatility.
The capability to look down and shoot down most effectively. Very good probability of kill.
It goes past that because it gives you the capability to stay at high altitudes. And if you can stay up there, you not only then have the capability of attacking the low guy, now I also have the capability of going after the high guy.
This highlights the dual capability of the F-14, from defending against targets flying as low as 50 feet above the surface to intercepting high-altitude, high-speed aircraft and air-to-surface missiles at altitudes of 70,000 to 80,000 feet.
There's only one aircraft in the world today that has that capability, and that's the F-14 with the Phoenix missile.
In addition to the Phoenix, the Tomcat also carries the AIM-7 Sparrow and the AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles, both of which have undergone recent improvements. The Sparrow's modernized version, the AIM-7M, began production in 1982 and will eventually be replaced by the Hughes AIM-120. The AMRAAM possesses a significant advantage in being a fire-and-forget missile, unlike the Sparrow, which requires continuous illumination of the target by the launching fighter until impact. Despite being one of the oldest missiles in the US inventory, the infrared homing AIM-9 Sidewinder remains a highly effective weapon, demonstrating impressive kill rates in recent years. The principal version used by the Tomcat is the AIM-9L, which was notably employed by VF-41 with remarkable success during its engagement over the Gulf of Sidra. This version represents a significant improvement over earlier models, boasting all-aspect capability, allowing it to home in on aircraft skin friction from any direction. A new iteration, the AIM-9M, has been introduced, featuring an improved rocket motor and enhanced anti-countermeasures capability, and is now also in service. The Sidewinder missile is poised to remain an important component of the Tomcat's armament for many years to come. An internal gun mounted low in the port side of the nose and equipped with 675 rounds of 20mm ammunition can be fired at a rate of 100 rounds per second.
It's almost a self-contained GCI interceptor fighter combination that can take the fight to any scenario, any place in the world.
I deployed with VF-1 and 2 on the Enterprise, and we used to simulate very realistic scenarios. For example, backfire bombers flying at 50 to 55,000 feet at supersonic airspeeds with lower fighter cover. We went out on exercise after exercise like this with the F-14 and demonstrated time and again that because of the two men in the airplane, because of our ability to handle the ECM problem, we could shoot those bombers at long range, still have the short-range weapons to get in and visually engage the fighters, take care of them, and press on about our business.
In today's era of automation, there's a tendency to rely heavily on computer systems for managing tasks. Undoubtedly, computers have enabled us to overcome challenges that would have been insurmountable otherwise. However, we're also aware of their limitations. Despite the F-14 being highly automated, with a computer system capable of processing 3 times as much information as any other fighter, it still operates with a 2-man crew. This setup allows them to fully exploit the aircraft's vast potential by working together.
There has to be tactical decisions made by an aircrew. It cannot be done by a black box. It has to be made in the human element involved.
The advantage of not having to split yourself down the middle or whatever percentage you got when you're in a tactical environment.
With 2 guys working on the solution, you're going to come out with the right answer more often than you are with 1. That's all there is to it. It's that simple.
It's a beautiful combination. And I know in my past experience, there's the first guy to see the other guy has a hell of an advantage.
Given the substantial amount of information exchanged between the F-14 and the command center, voice communication often proves inadequate, too slow, or strategically undesirable. To address this, the aircraft's data link system plays a crucial role, facilitating the rapid exchange of tactical information and receiving additional target data from the command center.
Roger. And Dick, you're cleared to fire. Roger. 102, you're bogey.
Even when facing an enemy dispersed over a 200-mile radius at various altitudes, the F-14 can be strategically positioned for optimal tactical effectiveness. It stands alone as the only aircraft capable of downing 4 adversaries and still having ample fuel reserves for extended combat engagements.
The nice part about the F-14 is that you got the best of both worlds. You can get into the dogfight role without taking 1 iota away from the very significant capabilities in the long-range interceptor role.
Wing buys an awful lot. It gives you an awfully good on-station loiter time. It gives you a tremendous turning aircraft, and it gives you a slow approach speed.
Throughout the flight regime, and almost at any store loading you'd care to dream up, you decide where you want to go and you point the nose and the airplane goes there.
It's going to be an awful long time before anyone can come close to finding an aircraft that can take the interceptor role and the fighter role and come any closer to optimizing the 2 in one aircraft.
The nice part about the whole system is that being computer-based, software-oriented, the growth potential in the system is almost unlimited.
A new television camera system, now operational, allows visual identification at distances far beyond the capabilities of the human eye. This system comprises a closed-circuit television setup with a gimbal-mounted stabilized camera, providing a wide field of view for target acquisition. The radar intercept officer can then switch to a close-up mode for precise identification. Additionally, the introduction of TARPS, the Tactical Air Reconnaissance Pod System, has expanded the Tomcat's mission capabilities significantly. Mounted on the rear left Phoenix station, the forward section of the pod contains a frame camera able to produce forward, oblique, or vertical imagery. The TARPS system includes a panoramic camera for horizon-to-horizon coverage, along with an infrared line scanner. Carrying a TARPS pod only marginally degrades the F-14's performance. Despite more than 17 years passing since the Tomcat's first deployment aboard the USS Enterprise, little has changed in subsequent production models. The Tomcats currently being manufactured are essentially identical to those produced during the 1970s at the Calverton production line. This consistency underscores the robust design of the aircraft and its associated AWG-9 weapon system. However, the F-14A has encountered its share of challenges, particularly regarding the TF-30 power plant. Improvement initiatives aimed at the Pratt & Whitney power plant did not fully address some of its shortcomings. The engine remained susceptible to compressor stall and required meticulous handling during air combat maneuvers. Initially, It was planned that the TF-30 would serve as an interim power plant for the F-14A, with production transitioning to an F-14B variant equipped with a definitive engine. In the early 1970s, there was consideration for using a version of the Pratt & Whitney F-100 turbofan known as the F-401 for this purpose. An F-14B prototype did indeed emerge during this period. The F-14B prototype made its maiden flight on September 12, 1973, accumulating a modest total of 33 hours between then and April 1974. This test program was described as reasonably successful, but this was accomplished against a background of financial difficulty, which at one time looked like what had seriously threatened the future of both Grumman and the Tomcat. As expected, the majority of resources were allocated to the continued production of the F-14A, resulting in the F-14B being relegated to limbo despite showing promise. Another variant, the F-14C, which would have introduced new, more advanced electronics, also fell victim to budget constraints, leaving the F-14A as the definitive production model. It wasn't until the latter half of the 1970s that serious consideration was given to re-engineering the Tomcat. The re-engined Tomcat, known as the Super Tomcat, took its inaugural flight from Calverton on July 14, 1981, embarking on a modest series of development flights totaling 30 sorties. These tests revealed significant performance enhancements in almost every aspect. Consequently, in October 1982, a decision was made to proceed with full-scale engine development, resulting in the F-110. Notably, loiter time during combat air patrol missions increased by 34%, while the deck-launched intercept radius at Mach 1.3 saw a remarkable 62% improvement, extending to approximately 275 nautical miles. The greatly increased power output also permitted catapult launchers to be made dry without afterburner, a factor which must have greatly impressed the Navy, since some of the earlier accidents had arisen from compressor stall when employing afterburner during launch. The F-110 engine demonstrated remarkable resistance to compressor stall across the flight envelope, allowing for unrestricted power management, a feat impossible to achieve with the TF-30. Despite these impressive results, it will be a couple of years before the Navy decided to adopt this new power plant. The US Air Force took the initiative, ordering the F-110 into production for the F-15 Eagle and the F-16 Fighting Falcon in February 1984. Subsequently, the Navy followed suit, selecting the F-110 to power a new Tomcat model designated the F-14D. While originally intended for installation on the F-14D, the F-110 made its fleet debut in the F-14A+, which was delivered to operational Tomcat squadrons in the spring of 1988. Future Tomcat pilots undergoing undergraduate jet flight training will embark on their first carrier experience aboard the new McDonnell Douglas T-45 Goshawk. This aircraft is a modified version of the British aerospace-built Hawk, adapted for aircraft carrier operations with reinforced landing gear, an arresting hook, and catapult launch fittings. As for the historical context, during the first 5 months of 1968, the United States Navy experienced a MiG-kill ratio of less than 3-to-1 in aerial operations over Southeast Asia. The small MiG aircraft engaged both Navy and Air Force fighters in classic close-in dogfights, often outmaneuvering US pilots. The differences in maneuverability, design, and size between US and MiG series aircraft, coupled with the absence of a dissimilar aircraft training program, were identified as major factors contributing to the Navy's low kill ratio. In response to the MiG threat, the Navy established the Fighter Weapons School, known to most as Top Gun. It was a provisional but provocative measure to rapidly train fighter crews for aerial warfare. Top Gun initiated an intensive program focused on teaching threat capabilities and advanced air combat tactics, which were practiced against dissimilar aircraft. The impact of this initiative was quickly evident. Prior to Top Gun training, pilots with limited combat experience were being pitted against seasoned North Vietnamese flyers and struggled to maintain parity.
Airfield, this is Victory 5. Grand Slam 1 bogey.
However, after completing Top Gun training, graduates returned to Southeast Asia, and by 1972, the Navy's kill ratio had increased significantly to 13-1. Selecting a pilot for training at Top Gun involves far more than finding a pilot with the best flying skills in the squadron. Candidates, whether from the Navy or Marine Corps, must demonstrate excellent administrative and leadership skills, as well as a crucial teaching ability. In fact, it's more accurate to say that Top Gun trains the best teachers of fighter pilots in the world, rather than just producing top-notch pilots. The ideal Top Gun candidates typically have 400 to 500 hours of flying time and at least one sea cruise experience. These same qualifications apply to Top Gun instructors, who are selected not only for their flying skills, but also for their aptitude for teaching. Top Gun instructors typically undergo a 3-year tour at Miramar. During the first year, they focus mainly on learning how to be effective instructors. The initial 6 months of this period include a familiarization course on A4s, F-16s, and F-5s, which are the aircraft currently utilized at the school. Following the initial training phase, Top Gun instructors engage in sorties against other squadrons and participate in classroom sessions as either student instructors or student pilots. The comprehensive 5-week curriculum includes approximately 100 air engagements and 90 hours of ground school. The courses cover the majority of systems used in combat, ensuring a thorough understanding of all relevant aspects.
Why do we talk about fighter performance comparison anyway? Well, the main reason we do this is that we want to determine what the strengths of our airplanes are, what the strengths of the bogies airplanes are. General rules of the road. If you're head on, each aircraft bears to the right or at 44 fast.
Here we'll take the trail man and fly to the echelon into the zinc, okay? If we've got a good system pound that's hooking left every time. I really think we get an average guy, so we say we go for it.
Every flight, regardless of its routine nature, is meticulously briefed to ensure optimal performance and readiness. Top Gun emphasizes the importance of teamwork and teaches crews to identify and exploit their opponent's weaknesses effectively. Each crew works together toward a common goal: victory. This emphasis on collaboration underscores the vital role of teamwork in achieving success in aerial combat. For most of the younger fighter crews coming to Top Gun, the hard-to-detect F-5s, F-16s and A-4s are the nearest thing to the MiG family they've ever flown against. The camouflage paint schemes add complexity to the situation, necessitating extra vigilance and teamwork among pilots.
Back starboard, 010. 010 now, 3.5. 2.5 miles now, drifting to the right again. 020 at 1.5 miles. Roger, tally ho. I said hot stop the valley on him. Okay, fine, no, that's passing the left side now. Right side up on him. That's right. Okay, that's pass up there. We got it on the F-14.
Each maneuver the aircraft performs is meticulously recorded, computed, and displayed on the TV-like screen of the Air Combat Maneuvering Range, ACMR. One of the standout features of the ACMR for pilots is its capability to serve as an instant replay device. During debriefing sessions following a mission, the entire team can gather to review their performance, analyzing it from various perspectives. Debriefing is a crucial aspect of every mission, allowing for a comprehensive examination of all engagement facets. This thorough review process helps identify areas for improvement and enhances overall performance. During debriefing sessions, pilots meticulously analyze what happened during engagements, how they unfolded, and perhaps most importantly, why they unfolded in a particular manner. They scrutinize details such as altitudes, contacts, and utilize fighter pilot language to reconstruct every dogfight scenario. As pilots review and discuss tactics that proved effective, as well as those that didn't, the process of growth at Top Gun begins. With each engagement, the student's ability and confidence steadily increases. Over time, the student begins to assert their leadership qualities, taking on more responsibility within the group. By the conclusion of the 5-week course, the student finds themselves assuming the role of an instructor, having developed the skills and expertise necessary to guide others through the intricacies of aerial combat tactics.
Element number 1 is able to take the offensive, begin to drive the fight. 5 and 6 are reacting to 1, maintaining good mutual support. Second blue element is back into the fight, again with good mutual support. Assist with a shot. Cockpit view of blue number 5 as he's repositioned will assist his buddy number 6. See the missile fly out. Missile's off the rail. Second missile's off the rail. And the blue coffin indicates the kill.
V4 went to the right like we wanted him to. Up high here. We both made a call here. Good call on the 2v1 in the lead bogey. Okay?
Morning. Today we're going to run our Alpha Strike. And this is the culmination of your training here at Top Gun. Your task today, fighters, is going to be to get a strike group on and off the target.
The Alpha Strike against a simulated land-based target serves as the culmination of the Top Gun course, offering students the opportunity to plan and implement everything they've learned over the preceding 5 weeks. During this exercise, the instructor staff acts as the enemy, challenging the students' ability to engage and neutralize enemy interceptors before they can reach the bomber force. While the combat capabilities of carrier-based fighters and attack aircraft like the Tomcat, F-18, A-6 and A-7 are well understood, a large-scale training mission such as the Top Gun Alpha Strike can uncover issues that may not have been previously considered. This exercise provides valuable insights into the effectiveness of tactics and strategies employed by the students, as well as identifying any potential weaknesses or areas for improvement in their approach. Top Gun aims to teach Tomcat drivers to become not only the best fighter pilots, but also the best fighter pilot training officers in the world. The goal is to develop a plan that will elevate their squadrons to the highest level of readiness, ensuring they're prepared to confront any adversary in any location where the Navy's carrier air wing may deploy. The strike against targets within the Navy's Tactical Aircrew Training Range in Fallon, Nevada, offers an opportunity to record the entire mission, facilitating detailed debriefing and the development of new, effective combat techniques. During these exercises, Top Gun instructors will pilot aircraft such as the F-5s, A-4s, and the newest adversary aircraft, the General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon. The F-16, characterized by its small size, agility, and stealthiness, provides the Navy Fighter Weapons School with a realistic simulation of potential threats encountered in real-world scenarios. In addition to the F-16s, the F-15 Eagles from Nellis Air Force Base will also engage the strike force, adding another layer of complexity to the training scenario and further enhancing the realism of the exercise. This multifaceted approach ensures that participants are exposed to a variety of challenges, preparing them to adapt and respond effectively in diverse combat situations. This is a wrinkle that Top Gun students hadn't figured on. Indeed, one of the fundamental objectives of Top Gun is to imbue Navy and Marine pilots with an unwavering sense of self-assurance. A fighter pilot truly excels when their self-confidence is potent enough to dispel any doubts about their abilities and their aircraft. In the lightning-fast world of aerial combat, pausing to ponder the next move could spell disaster. However, with thorough training, sharp motor skills, finely honed reaction times, and steadfast self-belief, the subconscious takes command, enabling the pilot to react instinctively. This encapsulates the essence of Top Gun, immersing a capable pilot among the world's finest combat aviators, imparting the invaluable expertise that only seasoned minds possess. Through this process, Top Gun shapes pilots into elite warriors, equipped with the skills, confidence, and instincts needed to excel in the most demanding aerial engagements.
So we're going to be violating. What's fuck that? I got him. Oh, no, God. Fuck that. Go high. You got to put your up in your line. So, okay, 8 that's time on the reverse. Actually, you got nose down. And all on me to get off pad. Take for the left side. Maybe that's one. I got him. Can't minutes. Airport belly, left side, 10 o'clock. I thought you had to do default. You got to put the amateur 8 o'clock. Right around think about point right. I got this. So I don't want to do that's what's the left side with 3. I'm gonna kill him. I'm just going to fight. Okay, got 13.
Oh, let's bring it left. We got 14 behind us. Bring it left.
Wow.
But you're ready for a target. Yeah, Tony always goes in on it. Trouble here. She's got about 50 to go with it. They bring it back starboard, dog.
Oh, you're about to
It's crucial to instill in them the understanding that the fundamentals of aerial combat haven't drastically evolved since 1918, aside from advancements in speed, altitude, and the destructive capabilities of weapons. They must grasp the reality that their adversaries possess similar motor skills, reaction times, and knowledge. What sets them apart is rigorous practice and comprehensive knowledge. Only through dedicated training and continuous learning can they prepare themselves for the daunting task of piloting a supersonic aircraft and engaging in combat against equally skilled opponents. It's a relentless cycle of training, honing skills, and accumulating knowledge. On board a 90,000-ton supercarrier, the intensity of training is palpable, with 1,000 feet of steel deck, braided cables, and the swift movements of deck crews clad in yellow shirts, ensuring safety during rapid takeoffs and landings. In round-the-clock training exercises, pilots repeatedly face challenges, refining their abilities and readiness for any situation they may encounter in the skies. 17 stories from superstructure to engine room, with a population of more than 6,000 specialists who run this city and manage its air wing of some 90 aircraft. The nuclear-powered capability of the carrier provides unparalleled operational flexibility, enabling sustained high speed and maneuverability, with enough fuel to remain at sea for an impressive 13 years. It serves as a self-sustaining mobile fortress, dedicated to the primary role of projecting US air power with a rigorous training regime for its aircrew. Preparation for the carrier's aircrew involves daily flights, sometimes even twice a day, to hone their skills in various scenarios, including radar intercept, air-to-air combat, strafing towed targets, bombing land targets, and anti-submarine operations. While deployed at sea, Tomcats, along with the E-2C Hawkeye, serve as the long-range eyes of the carrier battle group, tasked with identifying and neutralizing any hostile threats. This capability was demonstrated in January 1989 when Tomcats engaged 2 Libyan MiGs, highlighting their role as guardians of naval supremacy. What you're about to hear is the actual radio transmissions between the 2 prowling Tomcats flying combat air patrol and E-2C Hawkeye and the carrier John F. Kennedy. You can assess the outcomes firsthand.
Contact 175, 72 miles. Looks like a flight of 2, Angels 10. Close out, curves showing 78 miles. James Cornell shows 25 miles separation, turn it down. Contacts appear to be heading 315 now, speed 430, Angels approximately 8,000. Roger, Ace, take it north. Two 07, 61 miles now, bearing 180. Angels 8. Heading 330. Alpha Bravo, let's close out. Come back towards 23. Jenkins now, okay, bogies appear to be coming jinking to the right now, heading north. Speed 430, Angels 5,000 now in the descent. Let's take her down now, we're going down. Okay. Shows us 53 miles now. Bogies appear to be heading directly out as I'm coming toward. Steady up 150 for 30-degree offset, 50 miles. Miles now, speed 450, Angels 9, I'm going down to 3. Crossing back over. Roger. Roger that, 30-degree offset now. Bogies heading 340, speed 500, let's accelerate. Okay, we look like they're Roger, bogies have jigged back into us now, let's come starboard 30 degrees the other side. Angels join up set station. Roger, Angels now 11. Steady up.
Close out, warning yellow, weapons hold. I repeat, warning yellow, weapons hold. Alpha Bravo out. Roger, Gypsies. Pass up, Bravo directs, warning yellow, weapons hold. 35 miles here.
Roger that, bogies have jigged back into me now for the 3rd time with noses on at 35 miles. Angels 7. Bravo, close out, you copy? Okay, I'm taking another offset, starboard 210.
Yeah, I got one FDOs 30 miles and he's a 13,000 piece of trailer.
Roger that, level off here. Okay, bogies jink back into me for the 4th time. I'm coming back starboard. Come back port now. Port, 27 miles. 7,000 feet.
45. One set of bogies, 135, 50, Angels 16. Heading 340. Okay. 108 bogies. You're in collision now. Hearing.
Okay, bogies have jigged back at me again for the 5th time. They're on my nose now. Inside of 2 mile. Master arm on, master arm on.
Take good light. Good light.
Okay, centering up the T. Bogey has jigged back into me again. 16 Say your Angels. I'm at Angels 5. Nose up. Oh, his Angels.
No, wait a minute.
Angels are at 9.
Alpha Bravo from 207.
13 miles. Fox 1. Fox 1. Engine right. Roger that. 10 miles. He's back on my nose. Fox 1 again.
Watching them up.
6 miles. 6 miles. Alley 2. Alley 2. Turning into me. Roger that. 5 miles. 4 miles.
Okay, he's got a missile out.
Breaking right. That's it.
Good hit on one.
Roger that. Good kill. Good kill.
I got the other one. Short back street. Short back street.
He jumped out of the trailer. Coming hard.
Stop him up. I haven't got Colin.
Got the second one.
I got the second one on the nose right now.
Damn high cover on you.
Get him locked him up. Stop him up. Man, shoot back two. I can't. I'm over two. Good kill.
Hey, good kill. Pilot ejected. Ejected out of the second one.
Okay, Meister, let's head north. Head north.
Two fighters flash. Close up. We're heading north.
Roger.
Roger that. Pushes are going north. Let's go down low, out of deck. Unload 500 knots. Let's get out of here.
The world's premier interceptor, the F-14, has undergone modifications to ensure its effectiveness against any potential threat. The introduction of the new F-14D was part of a two-phase program. Initially, an interim version, the F-14A+, was delivered starting in April 1988. This enhanced Tomcat retains the F-14A airframe, but is equipped with the more potent General Electric F-110 turbofan engines, boosting available thrust from 42,000 to 56,000 pounds. The first F-14D deliveries, incorporating the upgraded engines alongside digital avionics and enhanced radar systems, took place in March 1990. These advancements signify a significant evolution in the capabilities of the F-14, ensuring its continued effectiveness in countering evolving threats. Despite efforts by the Pentagon to limit the F-14D program, Congress allocated funds for the acquisition of an additional 18 newly manufactured Tomcats in fiscal 1990. However, the Navy is contemplating stretching out production timelines as it grapples with reconciling its ambitious modernization initiatives with projected budget constraints. Aircraft procurement strategies are under review as part of the Navy's Carrier Air Wing Study 2010, aimed at aligning the service's needs and acquisition plans with available resources. This comprehensive assessment seeks to ensure that procurement decisions are in line with the Navy's long-term goals and fiscal realities. A Navy version of the Air Force's Advanced Tactical Fighter, which would replace the F-14 fighter, is one of the service's highest priorities. The Navy is collaborating closely with the Air Force to develop a carrier-capable variant of this new fighter aircraft. Additionally, the Navy is evaluating a proposal from Grumman to enhance the F-14D into what is being termed the Century 21 Tomcat. Grumman's proposal involves modifying the F-14 airframe to minimize the aircraft's radar signature, integrating enhancements to provide ground attack capabilities, and potentially installing an upgraded engine to extend its operational range. These upgrades aim to modernize the F-14D and enhance its versatility for future missions. For years to come, the F-14 Tomcat will maintain watch over 3 oceans, serving as a formidable presence capable of preserving peace or altering the course of conflict, and above all, remaining ever prepared.